Based around the Bram Stoker character of the same name, Renfield tells the tale of Dracula's servant, Renfield, who lives in an abusive relationship with his master. He is berated, physically assaulted, and spends his time tending to the Count's needs. He also goes to a self-help group with people who also suffer terrible relationships. During the film, Renfield gets tangled between a crime family and a police officer named Rebecca, which leads Renfield to believe he can do good. But will Dracula allow that? I love the concept of Dracula's assistant feeling like he is in a toxic relationship. You don't always see the perspective of the sidekicks such as Renfield, Igor, and similar characters. And while Renfield might not be as well known as Igor, the film catches you up to speed fairly quickly, which is both a strength and a weakness. It's a weakness because the film starts off almost immediately. It's really fast paced and throws a ton of information at the viewers. It might catch the casual moviegoer off guard, but if you're a big fan of Dracula in media, specifically the 1931 film adaptation, you'll have a big grin on your face when you see the faces of Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage over the bodies of Dwight Frye and Bela Lugosi, basically reenacting scenes from that film. It's not a new film trick, but it's a fun one to see. When it comes to the tone, it's fun and cheesy, sure, but I found it to be inconsistent sometimes. It seemed unsure if it wanted to be a straight-up horror comedy or a crime comedy that happened to feature Dracula. The action is gory fun, but I think the film lost some chances to be more horror-centric, maybe in lines of the movie and show What We Do in the Shadows. Speaking of, this film wants to be like What We Do in the Shadows, with additions of Renfield being the familiar to Dracula, and the vampire being a little more comical, but I don't think it worked as well. Maybe if the film got rid of the crime family nonsense and focused more on the horror comedy, I would have enjoyed the story more, but hey, that's just me. But a story is nothing without good characters, and luckily, the two best characters are our top billed ones. Nicholas Hoult plays a truly sad and battered Renfield, and I meant that in a good way. He's physically and emotionally abused by his master, but you see the good he wants to do for himself and others. As the film progresses, he slowly gains more confidence and we root for him to confront his boss. Now here's the million-dollar question. How was Nick Cage as Dracula? From the get-go, I was surprised with the choice, but also still down. Remember, Cage is an Oscar winner. Then again, he's also a little bizarre. That said, I had a fun time with his Dracula. He's deliciously despicable and cruel, but you can also have fun with him for that. I love the commitment Cage had for going through the makeup process for this character, because Dracula does change looks in the film. He might be a little hard to understand earlier on because Dracula is still regenerating from wounds, but when he's fully healed, Nicolas Cage delivers an entertaining performance that steals the show. So this review has been fairly mixed, if you can't tell. I think the film's main problem is that the tone flip-flops on a dime a lot, and, for me anyway, I didn't like the criminal subplot. There are only really two characters that I enjoyed, but that leads to the positives, which are the successful performances of Hoult and Cage, the campy gore effects, a humorous concept, homages to Dracula's mythology, and even the action, I will admit, is fun. If I were to grade this film, I think I'd give it around a B. B for blood, if you will. It's a film I'd watch again with a group of people to have a fun time, and that's something I intend to do. That said, if you want to see this film, I'd recommend a matinee performance or maybe even wait for streaming. But while this film drives me batty sometimes, as a Dracula fan, it's something I can sink my teeth into. That is until Last Voyage of the Demeter comes out. Thanks, this is an O.M.M review. This is O.M.M, signing out.